That's my wife, Elise. God, isn't she beautiful?
Oh, thanks, babe.
And that's me. I know, I'm a very lucky man. She's basically perfect in every way, except maybe for one thing.
What?
She's very historically challenged.
Oh, that's so heavy.
Okay, that's fair.
I mean, let's be honest. She doesn't know her 1066 from her 1776. And that's a problem, because for me, history isn't just important.
It's life.
Yes, exactly, life. And that's why I am on a mission to prove to her, and maybe to you too, that history is amazing.
Okay, fine. Show me this amazing history then.
Well, I will. Is your face on?
Theo, just cut to it. Rolling.
Okay, Dave. Okay, Dave? Okay, Dave.
No.
Okay, babe. Today I'm going to teach you all about the death of medieval London.
Oh.
I know. This is the Great Fire of London. You've probably heard of that before.
I have, yeah.
You've heard of it before, right? So picture this. We're in the mid 17th century. London had just been suffered from the Great Plague of London in 1665, where up to 100,000 Londoners were killed in that plague. And then 1666 rolls on.
Right.
And they have another disaster, the Great Fire of London. At that point, there was about 400,000 people living in London.
Oh my God.
It was one of the biggest cities in the world, and it was all crammed mostly within the square mile of the city of London, right? But crucially, on the night of the 2nd of September, it was a Sunday.
Oh, almost the anniversary.
Almost the anniversary of the Great Fire of London. A fire broke out in a bakery on Pudding Lane, which, funny enough, babe, it's almost
That's
like I
where
planned
we are
this.
now.
We're on Pudding Lane right now. Pudding Lane.
Is that why it's called Pudding Lane? Because it was a bakery that started the fire?
No, that would be.
Or was
good.
it already Pudding Lane?
No, I'll tell you why. It was already called Pudding Lane, but the reason why it was called Pudding Lane is that in the olden days, medieval days, pudding was actually like offal, like intestines and guts of animals.
Gross.
And there was a big meat market just up the road there, and they would bring the offal down here, down Pudding Lane, down to the River Thames, and that's why it's called Pudding Lane. Black pudding.
Right.
Makes sense, right?
Yes.
So actually
Connecting
Pudding
the
Lane
dots.
probably wouldn't be where you get your puddings. But there was a
Right.
bakery on Pudding Lane, bakery owned by a guy called Thomas Farriner. He was known as the King's Baker. And actually, funny enough, babe, it's almost like I planned this. We're getting to a spot where there's actually a plaque here on the wall to the Great Fire of London. And it says here, near to this spot stood the shop of Thomas Farriner, where the fire started. They reckon, I believe it's actually probably in the middle of that road right there is where the Fire of London started. There was a Thomas Farriner's bakehouse. They went to bed on a Saturday night. They went to bed, they claimed that they put the fires out, but in the middle of the night, they woke up and they found, like, oh shit, there's a fire in the house. Now, Thomas Farriner and his kids and his wife, they managed to clamber out. You've got to imagine, medieval London, all the houses were so jam-packed together. They were able to escape by climbing out the top floor window onto the roof of another house.
Whoa.
Everyone got out except their poor maidservant.
Oh, no.
And she was scared of falling to the ground, so she was the first
that would
victim.
Be me, I think.
No, it wouldn't be you, because I would get you out that bloody window. I'd shove you out that window.
Right,
You ain't being burnt to a crisp. Not on my watch. But yeah, we don't know her name.
Oh, that's sad.
Lost the history.
Wow.
It's kind of sad.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is the spot right here. Well, the plaque's up here, but I believe probably the spot of the actual oven of the bakery is somewhere where that Jaguar is parked, but round about there, give or take. So yeah, this is where it started. Any other questions about the start of the Great Fire, picturing London?
Was it just that an oven didn't work?
No. They don't. It's not like an oven you have at home. You don't leave it on or off. It's a fire, like bakery, massive ovens in the. I think they're actually in the garden of the bakery.
Right.
But they have these massive bundles of sticks, which were the fuel for the fire, for the ovens.
Like wood
and
oven.
so they reckon a stray ember hadn't been put out, and it jumped out or whatever, landed in the wooden sticks. That caught fire. And what you've got to remember, babe, is
Fire
that London
spreads so fast.
Fire spreads so fast. That's a safety lesson that we want to teach people to remember that fire does spread, so we've got to watch out. But the other thing is, London had just got to the end of a very, very hot summer, and it was almost like a drought. And all the houses, medieval houses, were built out of wood, and it was bone dry. So when that fire here in Pudding Lane caught, the whole, like, it spreads quick.
Right.
Very quick, in fact.
Yeah.
All right?
Makes sense.
It does make sense. What you've got to imagine was that when the call went out, shouts of fire, fire in the middle of the night.
Right.
It's 1066, right? What does that number mean to you? No, it's not 1066.
16.
It's 1666.
Yeah, I'm learning.
You are learning. Well done. It's 1666. What does that number mean to you?
666
We-
is like
we-
the devil.
The number of the beast, exactly.
Oh.
Yeah. And you got to imagine these people back then were incredibly religious. So it was literally like the end of times almost.
Right.
You know, you just had the plague, and now you've got a massive fire breaking out. So back in the day, they didn't have firefighters like we have them, you know, but they did have, everyone kind of knew what to do in a fire. Everyone had to dig in.
Right.
So they all formed up, you know, chains of buckets and all the rest of it. And the other big thing that they did to beat fire was they wanted to pull down houses around the fire to form a fire break. To form a fire break. If you pull down the houses, then the houses can't catch fire, and hopefully the fire will be contained.
Pull them down as in like break houses down? Like
Yes,
what?
with big hooks.
Oh, wow.
Like, you could literally do that back then. A few big strong men hook a hook onto the beam of the house, you yank it down, you pull it down.
Right.
I could do it with a couple of me, I reckon.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, you could do it too, I'm sure. Anyway,
I'm not, but okay.
But the problem that they faced, right, is that they had the Lord Mayor of London back then, was a guy called Thomas Bloodworth. He was the 330th Lord Mayor of London, but he'll go down in history as probably one of the worst, if not the worst. You know why?
Why?
Because he came to see the fire in the middle of the Sunday night because they needed his permission to start pulling down the houses. And he said, you know what he said?
What?
He said no. He said this, immortal words. Allegedly, these words have been attributed to him. He said, a woman could piss out the fire. And then, I know. So not only was he wrong, he's also sexist.
Yeah.
And then he went back to bed. And the reason why he didn't want to pull down the houses is because they didn't know where the owners were, and he was worried about the owners suing him for pulling down the houses.
Wow.
That was
Well, it didn't make any difference, did it? Because they all burned anyway.
Yes,
Right.
exactly.
Idiot.
So history has not judged poor old Thomas Bloodworth kindly.
Right.
So yeah, basically the fire probably could have been contained and stopped in the early hours of Sunday morning, Sunday the 2nd.
Wow.
But it didn't. It spread and it spread and it spread there was a big westerly wind. I believe that's the way to say it. Coming from the east, going west.
Right.
And it was blowing the fire westwards, traveling at a pace of 30 meters an hour, which doesn't sound like a lot, 30 meters an hour, but if you're trying to you can get out of the way, but you can't get your stuff out of the way, and you can't put it out, and you can't pull down houses in that time.
Yeah.
So that's the big problem. That's a fast moving fire.
Yeah.
So babe, I want to take you up to the monument, which was built after the fire to memorialize the
Right.
fire. To memorialize the fire, but I want to take you up there because it's got great vistas of the area, so I can show you the route that the fire spread.
Right. You've already brought me up before.
Yes, this is where we went on our third date.
Yeah.
I think the people will want to know that. This is a great date spot, by the way.
Well, it's a good test to see how your future partner's cardio is, because it's about 500 steps.
But it's great. The monument is great because it's only a £5 last time we were here, and you get to the top, you can have a photo. You get a great little certificate for going up, don't you?
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll just go up the monument for the vid.
I will pass on going up. You go up. You take them up. I am so sore and my legs hurt already, and I just don't think I've got it in me. So I might just let you.
We should explain to the tube that you have been you're back at the gym after a month's break for the wedding, so your legs are painful.
Yes, I'm really sore. I don't want to do it, but you should go, and I'll be at the pub across the street.
Fair enough. Well, I'm gonna go.
Okay, you take them.
I'll take. I'm gonna go. Okay, guys. So we're gonna go up to the monument. The missus is gonna go to the pub, but I'm gonna tell her all about it afterwards.
Bye. See you later.
See you later. Hello, one ticket, please.
Just one adult?
Just one adult. My missus went to the gym yesterday, so her legs are hurting. £6, gone up by a quid since I took Elise up 2-3 years ago now. But that is a cool site. Love that. Ooh. Oh. Oh.
You're nearly there, you're nearly there.
Nearly there. Wow. So down this way, that's east. You see Tower Bridge down there. You can probably just about make out the Tower of London. They were very worried about the fire getting to the Tower of London because it was full of gunpowder. So all the soldiers and everybody else had to quickly jump into action to make a fire break just around the Tower of London. And near the Tower of London is where Samuel Pepys, the great 17th century diarist, lived, and he gives a great account of what happened with the fire. And the most famous story about Pepys during the fire of London is that he was so worried about the fire that he buried his most prized possession in his garden, which happened to be a block of Parmesan cheese. And we don't know if he recovered it, so there is potentially still a block of 350-year-old Parmesan cheese somewhere just over there. So that's good to know. But yeah, so the east of London didn't get so badly affected because the wind was coming down the River Thames. But if you look to the other side, the west of London, you can just about make out St. Paul's Cathedral just over there. Now, St. Paul's Cathedral is probably the greatest casualty of the fire of London. That is medieval St. Paul's Cathedral, which stood on the same site. Now, everybody thought that medieval St. Paul's would be okay because it's made out of stone. It's made out of stone, and there's a sort of a natural square and a fire break in front of the cathedral. The area around St. Paul's was known for its books and bookshops, and loads of people stored. They rushed to put all their valuable books into the crypts of St. Paul's Cathedral, thinking it would be okay. But the problem was they were doing renovations at the time, and it was covered in wooden scaffolding, and the scaffolding caught fire, and within 30 minutes there was molten lead dripping from the ceiling of St. Paul's. Fire was burning at something like 1,000 degrees. So really St. Paul's didn't stand a chance, and it went up in flames, and we lost all these books that we don't know what was in those books. It's, you know, one of the greatest tragedies of the whole disaster. Fire continued to spread west at a rate of 30 meters an hour, all the way to the River Fleet, where the River Fleet, which is now underwater, it was running above ground at the time, and people thought that the River Fleet would be a natural fire break. But no, the fire wasn't having any of it, and it jumped the river and kept on going west towards Westminster and the centre and the heart of power. And down here you've got the River Thames, and just behind this big building here is London Bridge, modern London Bridge, but would have been medieval London Bridge. And medieval London Bridge looked very different. It was covered in buildings, houses, shops, all the rest of it. And everybody was terrified that the fire was going to catch hold of London Bridge and then spread to Southwark, to the South Bank. And it would have been absolutely pandemonium all along the river, because it was full of warehouses along the River Thames. And in those warehouses you had all the combustible things that you could imagine: pitch, tar, hay, wood, and they all went up in flames, and the fire spread like that. Very bad, poor fire safety back in the 17th century. But the greatest profiteers, or people that did benefit from the fire of London, was anybody that owned a boat and anybody that owned a cart, because everybody was rushing to get their valuables, their belongings out of the way. And people that owned a boat or a cart, I think I've read that in modern equivalents, they were charging like £30,000 to like move their belongings. So, you know, if you're an enterprising individual, the Fire of London, that's where you made your money. So heading back down now to go find the missus. I think it's 311 steps, so not bad. I can understand why she didn't want to do it, but I'm still going to give her crap for it. Oh, hello there. Oh, can I get one of those? Thank you so much. I did it, and I got my certificate. Oh, there's the missus. There she is. How's it going? What have you been up to? Of course I did it. What have you been up to?
I just got a water. I was reading my book. It's very wholesome. Sat by the window.
I'm glad for you.
Did some people watching.
Happy for you, babe. But look, we've got another.
You got a certificate.
Another one.
Amazing.
How about that? So this, I mean, I think it's worth telling everybody that this does make a great date idea.
It actually does.
It actually does. Because you can sign and date the back of this certificate, which has some very useful information.
This is to certify that
Theo
Hughes
has
climbed the 311 steps of the monument. Wow, you're so strong.
I'm so strong. And so are you. You're very strong too. You did miss some very crucial information I gave the viewers about how the fire spread to the west and destroyed St. Paul's Cathedral.
Right.
But I will tell you about that later.
Well, how'd the fire actually stop, though?
Good question, Ben.
Thank you.
Very good. Keep them coming. Now, basically, the fire stopped. Well, first thing to note is that the fire ran from the 2nd to the 5th of September.
Oh, 3 days.
I think it was 4 days. A long time.
Oh my God.
And I've told you before about Thomas Bloodworth. You remember him?
Yeah, the bad mayor.
The very bad mayor. Very bad Lord Mayor of London. So he was useless. So what's higher than a mayor?
The prime minister.
Yes, we didn't have prime ministers back then.
Okay, the king.
The king. That's it. So the people went to the king. Yes, and they petitioned for help. They said, please, king. And do you know who our king was?
King Charles II. Third. Second?
Yes. That's right. You got that right. How did you've been reading plaques down here. You've read a plaque.
that was a pure guess. Wait, what did I say? Charles II.
Yeah, and then he said third, which was terrible.
Well, I don't know. I was just guessing.
Yeah, you don't.
Is there no third? I don't. We'll leave it at that. I got it right. I got it right.
You got it right. There is a third. Our current king is the third.
Right, of course. Okay.
I need to work on you, girl.
No, I got it.
You see,
right.
I've got so much work to do
I
here.
got it right. I got it right.
Didn't mean to get it right.
I got it right.
All right, so yes, they petitioned the king. And now this is the king had offered to send help initially. What you got to remember is that we're only 10 years out from the Civil War. The citizens of London were still very nervous about royal authority, and they didn't want to let the king's troops into London. So initially they turned down the offer. The Mayor of London turned down the offer. But eventually the king was like, no, bugger this, I'm getting involved. And he got his brother, King, who would go on to be King James II at that point, the Duke of York.
Right.
He got his brother to lead a task force of his troops, of the lifeguards, and they went into London, started pulling down the buildings, making fire breaks, and eventually on the 3rd or 4th day, the fire ran out of gas, and also very importantly, the wind died down.
Oh, right.
The wind that had been pushing it to the west.
So it just kind of like went out on its own.
Yeah. No.
Wow, that's kind of a miracle, no?
Yes. In fact, babe, how did you? That leads me on to my next point.
Really?
Yes.
I'm on it.
You're
Do you know
on it.
what?
Because it was known as the Annus Mirabilim. And I've said that wrong, but that's Latin for the year of a miracle.
Oh my God.
And you know why?
Why?
Not because, I mean, it was absolute devastation, and I'll tell you some numbers in a minute, but the miracle is that not many people died. At least we don't know the exact figure, but they reckon maybe 10 people. There might well be more people like that died unreported, but the destruction of London.
That's all they have record of is only 10 people?
Yeah, so around about that. Destruction was devastating.
Yeah, I bet.
Really bad. 80% of the city of London, the old square mile, was destroyed. 100,000 people were made homeless. In today's money, it would be over 30 billion quid's worth of damage. But you had all these people who were homeless, and they'd just come out of the plague. And then just before that, it was the Civil War.
What did they do with everyone?
I mean, honestly, the mid 17th century Londoners had it rough. I mean,
what did they do? What did they do with everyone that lost their homes?
Well,
did they house them?
There was like refugee camps up in Islington, because Islington back then was like fields, and outside the square mile.
So they had everyone just stay there.
But the big thing about the rebuilding of London, this is the heart of the Enlightenment era. And a lot of people thought this is actually maybe a good thing that all medieval London was destroyed. We can start a fresh blank canvas. The great architect, Sir Christopher Wren, came up with a design for London where it'd all be on a grid pattern. Grid pattern with
like
big
New
boulevards. Well, you could say New York was like London because New York came after the fact.
Okay, fine.
But yes, much like how your cities in America are built on grid patterns,
right?
They thought, well, let's rebuild London with a grid pattern with big squares and it'll be lovely. But
they didn't do that, obviously.
They didn't do that. You know why?
Why?
They didn't have the money. They didn't have the money.
Is that more expensive?
No, what it was is like they would have to people owned the land where their old houses and shops had been, but they would have to bought them out, like compulsorily purchased all the people to change, and they didn't want to do that. They didn't have the money, so they basically rebuilt London in the old medieval street plan, and that's why the medieval London, or London to this day, is all higgledy-piggledy streets, and it doesn't make any sense, which I love. It gives us character.
Yeah, I agree. I like it too.
Yeah, there we go. But let me give you some numbers here.
Okay.
So 13,000 houses and homes destroyed.
Wow.
87 churches destroyed. And then St. Paul's as well, the big cathedral.
Yeah, they had to rebuild it, didn't they?
They had to rebuild it.
Didn't it take like 30 years to rebuild St. Paul's?
Yeah. it took St. Paul's a long time. Oh yeah, maybe about 30
I
years.
think it was actually
Yeah.
like 36 years.
Thankfully, we had Sir Christopher Wren, and he was an absolute genius architect.
Did all the churches or something?
He did all, you've learned
Wren
about
Church. You
yes,
say that all
and
the time.
remember the motto? If it's not a Wren church, it's a...
Bad church.
It's
I
a
don't
wrong
know.
church.
Wrong.
There you go.
Right, okay.
There we go. So yes, we got Christopher Wren built 50 new churches and St. Paul's Cathedral. So we did get something out of it.
Well, there you go. So what happened to like the bakery or the people that own the bakery? Like,
Thomas
did they-
Farriner.
I don't know.
That was his name, Thomas
Okay.
Farriner.
Did he get in trouble?
No, bloody well didn't.
What?
I know. So the
I
problem
mean,
was,
obviously it was an accident.
it was an accident. It was an accident, but the problem was back then, with anything that's happening with any sort of big disaster, you want to find a scapegoat, and there were so many easy scapegoats out there because England. I forgot to mention this. England was at war with the Dutch. Believe it or not, we used to fight the Dutch. It's mad.
Oh.
So we were at war
They're
with
so
the Dutch.
nice.
I know. We love them. They're great people. Love the Dutch. No problems. But back in the 17th century, there was big beef because that's another story. But yeah, so everyone thought, well, maybe this was the Dutch, a terrorist attack by the Dutch. And then they also thought that maybe if somebody worse than the Dutch,
Who?
the French.
Oh.
Yeah, because they're not only foreign, they're Catholic. And one thing to remember about English history, British history, is that, especially in this period, we had big problems. There was a lot of beef between Catholics and Protestants. It's all over now, water under the bridge, and we've moved on. But back then, it was a big thing. So there was a big idea that it was a big Catholic conspiracy. And I'm afraid to say, a lot of Londoners went out and lynched any foreign,
my gosh.
any French people, any Catholics. And terribly, they found a French bloke called Robert Hubert, who was probably having a mental health crisis, and he admitted to starting the fire. He
So
admitted.
the baker just got off
Yeah, the
because
baker blamed
someone else.
this poor French bloke.
Wait, so the baker like placed blame.
Yeah, the baker blamed this poor French bloke called Robert Hubert, who actually did confess to doing it, but there was records at the time that suggest that the Robert Hubert wasn't even here at the time, and so he was.
Why did he confess to doing it?
He was, I think, was having a mental B or whatever.
Meant to be.
Mentee B.
Right.
And we needed a scapegoat, and poor Robert Hubert was the scapegoat, and I'm afraid to say they hung him.
Whoa.
They hung him. The Great Fire of London, it's well remembered, it's taught in schools, and it's very important. It literally was the death of medieval London in terms of the way that the city looked. All these wooden buildings were burnt down, and everything was built back in stone and brick on the same grid pattern, but everything you see today here, at least, is post 1666.
That's crazy.
It is crazy. It is absolutely crazy. Yeah, I really had a good day today, babe.
It was good.
It was very good.
And don't forget to like and subscribe to my husband, the
very-
history husband.
The history husband and the history wife to be. Well, you are my wife,
Oh, I am
but you're
now.
learning history. And
Oh, right. Okay.
so that's what I meant. But yeah, like and subscribe. Come to the next one because you're going to be going out next weekend.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, baby.
Bye.